Still the Place with Laura Leighton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
All right, here we are.
Here we are.
Are we ready to go?
One, the
Yay!
pilot.
I'm so glad we finally get to talk about an episode because I was trying so hard not to on our intro podcast, and I was doing a very bad job. So now I actually get to talk
Season
about
1,
it.
Episode 1. Courtney has stories. We all have opinions because we all just watched it. Air date
We
July
have some thoughts.
8th, 1992. We definitely have thoughts. You want to read the synopsis, Laura?
Sure. Episode 1 of Melrose Place, the pilot. Synopsis. Handsome bachelor Billy Campbell moves in with Alison, played by Courtney Thorne-Smith, after her roommate leaves her in a lurch. Dr. Michael Mancini's marriage to Jane could flatline because of his hectic hospital schedule. And meanwhile, Jake is starting to become a flake when he sees young Kelly Taylor as nothing more than puppy love. That, my friends, was the pilot. And so Courtney Thorne-Smith was the resident expert because she was there where Daphne and I, our characters hadn't quite appeared yet. So we're going to have so many questions for you.
I'm so
Yeah, but
excited.
we also
But you
have
know what I
opinions.
noticed?
And lots of thoughts
You
of
know
our
what I
own.
noticed though? Back to the synopsis, I was like, did no one notice that Jake was dating a high school girl?
Wait,
I noticed.
I have
What do
plenty
we
of notes
mean?
about
So
that.
creepy.
Lots of notes
hands
about
everywhere.
it. Yeah. No, we definitely noticed.
Just weird.
But like the
Just
synopsis
bad.
doesn't bat an eye. It calls it puppy love, but I call it creepy.
Yeah, because I was thinking, as I'm
And-
like, no, they're not going to get. They're kissing. Oh my God, they're kissing.
I know. It's just
Okay, wait, but we do need to start at the
Let's
beginning.
back
So
up.
let's
Okay.
let's back up.
I'd like to go in order of the credits. When Grant opens the fridge and the light is on his chest, I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a place to start.
Iconic.
Hello.
Put that
Iconic.
in the opening
and that,
credits
by
for
the way,
sure.
I like the whole season was that. That was like him opening the fridge.
Yep.
In the silhouette.
Yes, and I don't know if you guys noticed. I know I'm supposed to start at the beginning. Laura's going to keep me on point, but later in the episode, Andrew opens the fridge
Yeah,
without
baby.
his shirt on. So this is the theme.
Well, we do have, I think, a shirtless count for the episode, right?
Well,
did you
I mean,
guys?
Did they ever
well,
have
I
a
made
shirt
one.
on? The guys in the episode.
Right.
in the
It would have
pilot?
been easier to count shirts on
I
than
know
shirts
I'm in a
off.
big
I think.
fluffy robe, and Andrew's in
I
boxers.
know. I love it.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let's start with like the cast, like the cast of the pilot, the
great.
series regulars, the cast of Melrose Place. Josie Pizzette played Jane Mancini. She was married to Michael Mancini, played by Thomas Calabro. Amy Locane played a character named Sandy Herring.
Harling.
Okay. Harling. Okay, I'm not
Doug
wearing glasses.
Savant.
Should I wear my glasses?
Doug Savant played Matt Fielding. Grant Shue played Jake Hansen. Andrew Shue played Billy Campbell. Courtney Thorne-Smith, who was in our presence, played Alison Parker. And Vanessa A. Williams played Rhonda Blair.
And the show was created by Darren
Darren
Star.
Star.
Special appearances by Jenny Garth playing Kelly Taylor. And these are all appearances from the 90210 cast members who were like the younger version and the spin-off show that we were sort of crossing over using Grant Shue's character Jake was crossing over from the 90210 cast. Jenny Garth playing Kelly Taylor. Tori Spelling playing Donna Martin. Brian Austin Green, whose voice I don't think had changed yet, even playing David Silver, Ian Searing as Steve Sanders.
Yeah. And guest stars, of course, we have the Sherman Howard played your creepy boss, Hal Barber. And Victor Love played Daniel.
This episode was directed by Howie Deutsch. Yeah.
Howie Deutsch, big
He'd
feature
done
director. Yeah, that was very
Pretty in
exciting.
Pink, Some Kind of Wonderful. I didn't know that until I saw the credits on the screen when I was watching.
It
He's
was
married to
very
Leah Thompson,
exciting.
right?
Yeah. He's married to Leah Thompson.
Thompson.
Yeah.
But I
Such a
was
nice
really
man. That was
impressed.
really fun.
So cool.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was watching the pilot. I was like, because it started off, I was like, who's Natalie? Like, I totally forgot
Oh.
that the roommate, in the beginning,
Yes.
the roommate sneaks away. I
Yes.
don't remember any of that. I was like, who's Natalie? That's when I noticed my legs. I'm going from door to door to door, knocking on doors in like a shirt.
Your legs
And
were
I'm sure I
adorable.
was self-conscious, and I was looking at myself going, you should have never worn pants. Your legs were so cute. I
Yep.
wish I'd known.
You
I
were
wish I'd
adorable.
known.
You were
Wish I'd known.
super adorable, like classic ingenue. You were the girl. It opened on you, and
With your perfect blonde
Yeah.
hair and those blue eyes.
Well, it wasn't perfect blonde hair because the other thing I remembered is I had gone brunette to try to get more serious roles because I was getting all these. So I'd gone brunette, and then of course my first big job they want me to go back to blonde. So I spent 8 hours in a hair chair, and I have sort of like strawberry blonde Tammy Wynette hair. You probably didn't notice it because you're picturing my blonde hair. The other thing I noticed, I have the exact same haircut now that I did.
Hey man, if it works, don't fix it.
Apparently, I have not let that go. I style it differently, thank God, but it's the exact same haircut.
I just want to comment on we're talking about the 90s and the culture. When I saw the shot of those boots leaving,
yes,
I was like, I know that store on Melrose where everyone got cowboy boots, but like fancy ones with colors and like the short ones and the long one. Everyone wore them.
I still have my cowboy boots.
Tuck our jeans
Just
in.
saying.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
they were
God.
cute. And remember, like the
So
shots
cute.
in between scenes in the pilot, they were the light wash jeans that everybody's wearing again.
Yeah,
It could have been shot right now.
But when you said, like, I think your first line is Nat, because you're calling her name and you're trying to find out where your roommate is, and your first line is Nat. I heard it, and I was watching with Doug, my husband, who was there. But I was like, did she just say Matt? Did she call? Is your character's name the first word out of Courtney's mouth in the show? And he's like, no, Nat. So, and I was like, who's Nat? So then we find out that Natalie was your roommate, was Allison's roommate, right? And she's leaving. Allison's waking up. So I'm about to start the episode recap, right?
And apparently,
waking
like
up to
things
find
are
your roommate?
so close to the bone that the second my roommate leaves, I'm about to be evicted. Like how close to the bone was like there was no cushion at all. If I don't find a roommate today, like I'm on the street. I can't believe I don't remember that. You don't
That's
remember
the high
that at
drama.
all.
It was high
TV.
drama, and
Very high drama.
And you were but you go door to door to say, have you seen Nat? Have you seen Nat?
without
and so that's
putting
how
on
we
pants.
meet.
Here's the way I could have solved that problem. I could have put on pants before I went from door to door.
Yeah.
Well, if the guys aren't going to wear shirts, you do not wear pants in this show. So, but you were maybe 14 years old. You were so cute.
I was 24.
So, I mean, you were tiny, little, young, cute. Oh my gosh,
cute,
adorable.
Very innocent.
Yeah, everybody was so young, weren't we?
Yeah, it was
Super young. Like I wrote down, I think Courtney is 14 years old.
But right off the bat, I like how they, Darren, who wrote it, really captured the camaraderie in an apartment building like that. Because that didn't exist in every apartment building. And, I don't think. And that, well, okay, so here's another thing. I don't know that you knew this, but I told you that Darren and I lived in an apartment. We were roommates in college we went to UCLA. So he had a guy roommate and I had a girl roommate. So there were 2-bedroom. I think we shared the freaking bathroom. It was like tiny. But at any rate, there was that kind of like everyone borrowing each other's this and that and the other thing. But that's what I love. That really set the tone for this show when I saw it in the pilot. How you're knocking on everyone and, my shirt's off, but it's not and anything other than I just need to find her.
Everyone
before I'm
knows
evicted.
everyone's business.
I just really like that. And they all knew each other. We're, having coffee. You need your coffee. I just love that vibe that sets the show on its course of like all being there for each other until episode 16 where we start betraying each other and
We start sleeping with each other
trying
and
to kill
betraying
each other. Yeah. But it started out with
that's such
good
a good point.
intentions.
That was so sweet.
Well, you're knocking on everyone's doors, and it's a great way for the audience to meet all the characters one by one,
so true.
whatever, and get a sense. And there's cute little Doug Savant with his
coffee.
Yeah, he had. So we were starting to, of course, when Grant opens the door, he's shirtless because
he is.
Might as well put him shirtless in every scene because
Why ever put a shirt on him?
because abs. I mean everything. So so he's opening the door shirtless. I think so was Michael, who was answering the door with Jane. I think he was also shirtless. And then Doug opens the door in I think maybe a robe open or something. It's like an indication of shirtless, but he's like the nice guy. But and then you sort of get a sense of who these characters are. And right off the bat, why was Michael, played by Thomas Calabra, why was he being such a jerk to you about did you notice that? He already decided I'm going to be a jerk and go, you lost. Better come up with a rent.
What was happening? Were we just on the brink? Do we pay the last possible day of every month? And my son wandered in for a minute while I was watching the show, and they said, $400. Chuck goes, $400 for an apartment in LA? That's amazing.
You meant for the closet?
Yeah.
Right?
What would that
We
get
were
you now?
sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with a pool. Apparently $800.
Yep.
But
amazing.
we learn about the rent, the amount of the rent while you're driving down the road, writing on your steering
Writing
wheel,
and
right?
driving.
I mean, if that isn't a sign of the times, like
Writing
it's a
and
precursor to
driving.
texting while driving. But I'm actually going to do it with a pen and paper
That
and a
was-
steering wheel.
You caught that. I caught that. Too.
Oh, it's
That was
absurd.
Yeah. I mean, even though I used to drive and change outfits from audition to audition.
Yeah.
When I was, you know what I mean? You'd have something in the back or your yoga mat or whatever. But I would change on the 405, driving from the hussy to the nun or whatever. Literally. Well, traffic was so bad, you were barely moving. Anyway.
Yeah, but like sign of the times. I think.
Driving and writing.
I'm not just texting.
true.
Yeah, I'm writing with a pen and paper. And maybe apropos, right after that, you accidentally hit your driver's side door into
my boss.
Into your boss.
And he played my boss then, but later Edward Edwards played my boss, which I only remember because I was like, that's not Edward Edwards, who I remember because I remember his name. Because obviously
Edward
it was
Edwards.
Edward Edwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not my boss. That was my other boss.
Hal Barber was the character's name.
Yes.
Was super smarmy.
And you know what I'd totally forgotten? That Billy was a writer.
Yeah.
Did you guys remember that?
Yes.
I
I
sort
knew
of
that.
remember
You
that.
knew that?
What I did not, and we're not there yet, but what I did not remember was that he was a Arthur Murray dance instructor.
Yes.
That was funny.
The character was. That
Yeah.
is hysterical.
Was that the cutest thing?
I mean,
know.
okay,
I wrote
so
that. Do I say my? I can't say my favorite line yet.
I think
right?
we
No,
I think we have to
can't say
get
my-
there. So like we follow Alison as she gets to D&D and
Yeah.
and all of you must have noticed like the D&D establishing shot, the exteriors, those are Spelling's offices on
Spelling's
Wilshire, right?
offices.
So they
Wow,
used
good.
that
I remember. Yes, we
as
used
the
to shoot
establishing
there.
shot for D&D, the advertising firm.
Right.
So yeah, and Hal, smarmy Hal immediately starts flirting with cute little receptionist Alison, which is just like ew right off the bat.
Which how Alison doesn't know, I don't
Yeah.
But she's-
understand.
well-
I'm like, sure, I'd love to go to that party with you. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. How does she not know? Is she not
Yeah.
seeing what we're seeing?
Well, I mean, you have to go back to that age. Let's not forget you have like 30 years of insight and experience and wisdom and on it. So go back and you're in your 20s, the character. And I don't think that she would know. And by the way, he wasn't flirting first off. He was being your
Lecherous.
boss, but dropping little things like, oh, well, was it to my wife? And these little things. That's not flirting. That's like throwing it out there and see if you bite. And then you didn't. So he just kind of like got even more.
That's
what
a
he
time
wanted.
of that age too. Do you remember
Yeah.
this as young actors? I'm going off key for a second, but remember this as young actors. You'd get called into meetings. What were they called? You get called into a general meeting and you're sitting there with an executive of some sort, and all of a sudden they'd say, "Do you like sushi?" And you're like, "I don't think we're talking about a project, are we?" Didn't that happen to you? That reminded me of this thing with Hal. I used to get called into general meetings all the time. And it's not like they'd try anything, but it was like, I'm not here to talk about a project. I'm here.
Well, I think
you're creating like a first date.
They wouldn't do that because that's too forward, but it's this casuality, like be
Yes.
casual about things. We can cross the personal and the business. Absolutely.
Yes.
That was just
And I think it is a sign of the times, like that we can look at it now and go, ew,
but it wasn't you then. It was just the way it was.
or the expectation was you're just supposed to smile and be nice about it.
Yeah.
Like as a young
Yeah,
girl,
like
you're just, and he was in a position of power and whatever. So like,
Yeah.
but just, I mean, right off the bat, the character is so, from our point of view now, he's so obviously smarmy, right?
Yeah.
And you're,
Right.
you're just like the sweet girl going, okay, sure, whatever you need. And
Yeah.
like just trying to like secure your job and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So it's just such an interesting perspective to look at it now.
And times were so different. I mean, as much as we had a weird thing on Melrose Place because it's the guys who were topless all the time. I remember when our costumer Denise said to me, "I got a note from on up high, shorter, brighter, tighter on Alison."
Oh,
Like
All
you
right.
couldn't say that today. It was such a time, right? And I didn't mind like the crew guys would say, "Hey, sweetie, hey, sweetheart." Like it didn't bother me. I don't think that would happen today, right? Like this was
so
the
much
early 90s.
wouldn't happen today. Yeah.
I remember
so
the shorter-
different.
The shorter skirts, and I remember Heather, our dear Heather Locklear, like she just fit him like a glove. She's like, hike it up, but she was still kind of tomboyish even in those little. But you and Heather, and then all of your guest stars, bosses or whatever, would come in. And it was like almost the blazer ended here, and the skirt was like a few inches
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
I wasn't Joe didn't get those wardrobe notes.
No, you were all in black. You were super
Black
edgy.
and kind of like flowy and esoteric bohemian or whatever. I don't know what it was. It kind of switched around, but yeah. I was comfortable in pants. I still am.
All right, so from Alison's experience at D&D, we cut to the exterior of the burger joint where Kelly, Donna, and David, these are the 90210 characters, are in the car outside the burger joint. Did you guys recognize, what was that? Was that a Hamburger Hamlet with the burger thing on top? What was that place?
Hamburger Hamlet?
Was it an actual place on Melrose? I was trying to figure it out because it's like shaped like a hamburger
I was
bun.
noticing that we all look the same age. Like that Ian Ziering looked the same age as Grant. That's what I was noticing, that he was supposed to be in high school and they were having this thing where Amy Locane's character was hitting on him, but it didn't look crazy. Like they looked the same age. Like I was thinking how much we buy into. Like I think Jenny at the time, she obviously wasn't a teenager.
She came off very young though. Super duper
She comes. I think she was the youngest one in that cast, maybe next to Tori. Right? She actually was closer to age, but she was of age, which knowing that made it a little less creepy to me. But the fact that they actually had them kiss, like now you might have them flirting, but he would say, no, little lady. Like they actually had a romance.
Yeah.
That was so surprising to me.
Well, and she was,
Me too.
that character was like so in pursuit of Jake, who just seemed to, they had Jake be like so tormented, should he, shouldn't he? Like about this thing. It's like, dude, she's 17 or whatever. Like, what do you mean?
So would not have been tormented, right?
Yeah,
Grant would have been like, no, thank you.
Yeah. But like this, this character was like, this was a perfectly normal sort of debate that he was having is should he, shouldn't he, with this girl.
With our perspective
on the time.
It's crazy, but guy's perspective is probably not crazy. It's probably not. Like, what's the difference between besides legally?
Well,
besides a lot of trouble.
So in other words, it's kind of a big difference. In other words.
Yeah. So, that's brought out the Amy Locane character tells him and stuff. You know what I mean?
But you wouldn't have that many high school kids going to go after this motorcycle guy would you have? I'm trying to think when I was in high school.
I don't know.
What? No, we were like a sophomore to senior seemed like a crazy age leap to us. I don't know anyone.
But like somebody
who was
living in his
dating.
own apartment.
Yeah, somebody with his own
right?
apartment.
Like with all that stuff in it. Like that's a kind of
I
a
will
big...
say, growing up in the 70s, no parents were home ever. So it was like we all had our own houses, right? In the 70s in Northern California, like basically everyone had their own house.
Yeah.
But their own apartment. We didn't know those guys.
No.
Right? Like even in our early 20s, everyone had like 7 roommates.
Yeah. So when Kelly goes to look for Jake at his apartment, that's when we're introduced to Amy Locane's character. She's sunning by the pool, right? And she's in that red bathing suit.
Looking for Jake?
She talks to Kelly and she finds out that Kelly's in high school. And so she has a little dialogue with Kelly.
And that's the bar.
And that's the first
She
time we
says
hear
to
Amy
Jake.
Locane's Southern accent and get to know, this is a girl who's moved to LA and she's got a
And
very
she wants
interesting
to be
Southern
a
accent.
Star. Like she wants to.
Do you remember the pool? So it was a soundstage, so there was no natural light. And do you remember having to be there, like in bathing suits in the fake light? And that was when my son came in, and I said, this wasn't outside. And he goes, I can tell.
Yes.
Say, swear to God.
I know. All the bright
He's like,
lights.
oh, you're kidding me, Mom.
Yeah.
I remember the cameras couldn't shoot up because you'd see the lights.
Yeah.
And then season 2 or 3, when we got some money, they created like a false
Scrim in the back.
There was this.
What was it? Why could we shoot up? Was it effects?
I think
for some
just-
reason.
Maybe just higher up in one direction. Do you remember the foliage? And
Yeah, they
stuff?
could
That
move
whole
it,
wall.
right?
That
But
big
why could we suddenly have sky in the background? Because remember, no one could be talking down to anybody, not emotionally, but
Did we have
physically.
did we have a sky scrim, like just a fake?
I don't know,
sky
maybe.
scrim?
I don't know.
I remember when they first got the sky and they were so excited. Maybe they had it over the whole thing. No, because you need the lights.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
know.
But I remember having to be, quote, outside and inside, and it was so weird.
It felt like a play, even just watching it. Didn't it feel like that was a stage, like a play in a way? I don't know. The whole set, just watching it this time. seeing
where
that
were
it's dated.
where were the practical sets? Because my apartment was my apartment. Billy's in my apartment was my apartment.
Right.
But people who were upstairs, where did they build your practical?
Like right around.
Yeah,
it.
so it was just right nearby. I mean, eventually we had two sound
that's right,
stages.
Your whole apartment was
Right? Because we had like, I think 4 and 5
Yeah.
or something. Were those the actual numbers? Did that just
Really?
is that a
Do you-
thing? I don't know.
wow.
I could be making that up. But
Wow.
But they were just like setups like a soundstage of the interiors, just right nearby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For the upstairs apartments. But like the Alison story was really like the primary, like the way to get in the world of Melrose Place was through the Alison character as
Yeah,
the
you
ingenue,
and
right?
Billy
So we're
coming in.
following
Yes.
her journey of trying to find a new roommate, trying to hold on to her job. And then the next scene is Alison is unloading her trunk and Billy Campbell, played by Andrew Shue, stops by to ask about the apartment. He's ostensibly heard about the apartment somehow through this random roommate who just left
Natalie.
named Natalie. But he stops by and he's immediately like cute.
Yeah,
Got-
and
like,
I don't
yeah.
know why. I must have been directed to play it. Super annoyed. I'm like, would you be annoyed if Andrew Shue walked up to you? Like, I was like, what
Can
is
I
my
help you?
problem?
Can I help you
Like,
find
what is
something?
And
my
he's-
apartment, maybe?
Clearly,
Yeah.
in real life, I was saying, hey there. But in my character, it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
like,
know why I was so annoyed. I guess I had to be. Otherwise, why wouldn't I just say, yes, please move in right now and marry me?
and
Yeah.
I mean, just could not be more adorable. And he was scripted.
So adorable.
Like he just had like the best scenes. And
Oh, so
yeah.
now I can tell the Andrew Shue audition story.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. See, finally I'm up. Okay. So that sweet Stephen Fanning, who was wonderful, didn't work out. Don't know why. Sometimes that happens. So then, in the middle of shooting the pilot, they had to recast the Billy character. So this was like on a Saturday. So we're shooting 14, 16 hours a day. It's insane. Like in the pilot, for whatever reason, I'm in every scene. And we said, okay, we have to have these auditions. We're going to have them at Aaron Spelling's house. So do you know Aaron Spelling's famous house in like Beverly
on Mapleton.
Wood?
Bel
Bel Air,
Air
Holmby
something
Hills.
or other.
Holmby Hills.
Yeah,
Holmby Hills. So you drive up to this big fancy house and we're in his library. So it's a huge library, like something out of Hogwarts, right? And you look, there are all these leather-bound books. And I went close to look at the leather-bound books and they're scripts. So he has leather-bound Fantasy Island scripts and love-bound scripts. Isn't that amazing? Like this
Crazy.
fancy
Dynasty,
library with love boat scripts.
Boats.
Walls and walls of them because he did a million
Bound
shows,
volumes
right?
of
Nice.
That
television shows.
leather-bound
Leather.
volumes with every single script. So they're probably at Melrose Place too. And all these guys waiting, and I'm sitting in this room with all these executives, and I'm just sitting there, and he's being very, would you like some water, sweetheart? I'm like,
Were
I'm
there lots
terrified.
of actors?
There were all these actors in the other room, and they came in one by one, and they were all good. And this one guy came in, and he was a really good, serious actor, and he had sort of a Grant vibe, like he was sort of tough, but like a really good, experienced actor. And all the guys in the room were going, yeah, great. You know, Andrew didn't have a lot of experience, so it's
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shue's brother, but just absolutely adorable, right?
And
Like,
natural
He comes out
and-
with
yeah.
that energy, natural, and he just is like still to this day, he's just an adorable, sweet, ebullient man, right?
Yeah.
And he comes in, and all of the executives are like, "Yeah, you know the first guy, the tough guy." And Aaron goes, yeah, I think you're right. I think you guys are right. But I want you to, there's something about that Andrew Shue guy. I just thought there was something, but I totally agree with you guys. You're 100% right. But I just want to kind of see him again. I'm kind of curious about him. And then he brought Andrew back in. And I watched, like I was watching, I watched him turn all of these executives around. So they're going, Andrew Shue. And he's like, I don't know. Are you sure? They're, Andrew Shue. I watched it. I was like, and I think that day, we'll ask Andrew when he comes on, I think they called him in and said, you have it.
Wow.
Like, I think that day, like in Aaron Spelling's home and library, Andrew got the part. Isn't that crazy?
Amazing. That's such a. I can't wait to hear him talk about it too.
Yes, I'd love to hear it. He does it. He tells the story adorably. But it was so crazy to watch how he would play these people and turn them around. And he was right, because the other guy was wonderful. I honestly don't know his name. But it would have been like he and Grant were so similar. And
similar.
Grant and Andrew were
No,
so
just this
opposite, and it worked so
naivete.
well, right? Like
Yeah,
this sort
exactly.
of tough guy and then this sweet guy. It was just such a perfect match, and he could see it.
Yeah.
He was so good at spotting talent, right, and making the
Yeah.
mix of people.
That's so great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So here's cute Andrew Shue, Billy Campbell,
Yes. And Alison,
asking,
for some reason, being a complete bitch.
and,
no
and he
idea
asks
why.
you to see the apartment, and Alison says no. And he gives you his number,
Alison's
and
an
you
idiot.
wad it up and throw it in the bushes. Yeah, you were an idiot. Not gonna lie. But from there, we ended up in Shooter's Bar and Grill, right? That bar was a set that
Iconic.
went.
I loved shooting in there.
Yeah, it
Wait,
went for
didn't he
lots
come
of
in? Because
episodes.
weren't we at the gate and he takes he didn't come in that day?
The first time you say no, you can't come in, you can't see the
Oh.
apartment. He tries to give you his number. You're like, yeah,
the
no.
apartment.
You wad up the number, and
Oh.
you go inside and you leave, and he, sort of leaves the apartment complex. So the next scene is then cutting to Shooters, which is it's not an actual bar. It was the bar that was built for Melrose,
Yeah.
and it was named for Melrose. We had a lot of good
Merch.
sort of swag with
Yeah.
Shooter stuff on it
Shooter
over the years,
swag.
right? Didn't you guys have like the drink tumblers?
I'm gonna
and,
go
like,
home and look for all my
Shooters,
stuff.
Shooters barmaid like shirts, right?
I loved
Whatever.
shooting in there. It
The
just felt
t-shirt.
so,
We all had the glasses. Remember the tumblers that said shooters?
Yeah.
And Jake is teaching a blonde to play pool. A blonde who, from a distance,
Looked like
the wide
Amy.
shot, and I thought
And
that
Jenny.
looked like Courtney. It's like,
And Courtney.
I was like, which
all
which blonde?
interchangeable. One of our
Yeah,
blondes.
but it was
I was like,
it was
Sorry,
a
but-
blonde. It was not one of our characters.
Sandy was coming to tell Jake, by the way, there's been a high schooler hanging around the apartment.
Nice,
High schooler, Jake. High schooler.
Jake.
Do you remember me? Because
She
when
keep
I
the accent.
arrived,
I
Okay.
seem to remember there was debate about her keeping the accent. I don't know that she kept it. We'll find out in future episodes.
We will find
I
out.
remember them discussing it.
I have to say that was one of the things while watching it with Doug. He said that there was ongoing discussion about
Yes.
the
Yeah, I
accent.
remember
Should
that
she
too.
keep it? Should she drop it? How's it going? Is it working? It was a thing. And
Yeah.
there were times when I could not understand what she was saying
But
due
you
to
know
the
what
accent.
I loved
and
about
like,
what I loved about it is that it reminded me that this show is not reality. She was this iconic blonde who came from the South. It could have been from the Midwest, anywhere. She came out and she was going to be a star.
She was
Those
the actress,
black
yeah.
glasses, and she went to acting school, and she was a waitress, and she's an archetype. And that's what this show is filled with. That's why Jake and Billy had to be different. They couldn't be
Right.
the same like hero, Hercules guy. Just like, we had the crazy redhead. We had, the tough brunette. Joe comes in. We have Rhonda, played by Vanessa, which we didn't go over, but those outfits with her aerobics classes. I thought it was very archetypal, every
Yeah.
character, which I really
Totally.
liked because they didn't get really nitty gritty reality. This was a skate.
Well, what you're pointing out too, though, is when they brought in the different archetypes, like you and Heather and you. That's when it worked. When we were all, like we said earlier, when we were all just nice kids trying to make it.
Yeah.
It didn't work. There was no conflict. We have all these nice kids
Right.
knocking on each other's door.
Right.
Okay, well, I can have that in my real life. You need to have
Somebody
some
needed to stir it
drama.
up.
Yeah.
Somebody needed to stir it up, and it can't just be being mean to the really nice boy who says hello to you.
They need to stir
Yeah.
it up, and then the
Jeez
writers
Louise.
needed to jump on that and really stir it up, or
Yeah.
they would have been canceled, and they did.
So
go
so
ahead,
yeah,
you're
so
in.
Sandy's warning Jake that
Mm-hmm.
if if you're going to pursue this, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions. Wah, wah, wah. So then back to Alison's apartment, where the montage of potential roommates at Alison's door who are not a good fit, and we see a hysterical
That was
five
hilarious, that montage.
hysterical.
Which is also dates, right? It's also that doesn't age well. You have the guy who
Dates the
looks gay and
show.
says, "I'm
Right,
about to
yes.
be a woman," and it's
Yes.
like, wow, the things that were okay then that
woman
wouldn't
with the
be okay
mohawk,
now.
yeah.
The woman
Yeah.
with the mohawk, like, wow, we thought the older one funny to be older,
Yeah.
like all the things that we
Yeah,
thought were
yeah.
also like another
That
sign
does
of the
not
times
age.
that they all just get to come knocking on your door to meet
I just
you.
love it.
Like,
Oh, and I pull it right
Yep.
open. Yeah.
yeah, no.
I'll be home alone. Come on
yeah,
over.
come on
Yeah.
over. Yep. Yeah, so that was funny and and that's when Michael drops off an eviction notice.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, nope.
This is
Nope,
the
too
same
slow.
day, or maybe the next day.
No roommate, you're
right?
evicted.
Yeah.
But he does suggest to write a bad check to cover the rent.
Well, what I also love is that none of my dear friends in the building said, "Why don't we each loan you $100 to get you through this time?" Like everyone's like, "Sorry, too bad." Like,
But
did they have it?
I guess nobody had money. I guess that's the idea that none of it. We were all very close to the edge. I guess it was maybe the dichotomy between. You know what? Actually, I think it was the dichotomy between Melrose and 90210 is they were rich kids. And we were not. I
struggling
that
adults.
part.
Struggling
we
young
were
adults.
struggling, so that's why we start with the money because we couldn't scrape together $400.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody even tried to help, which, maybe that's why I was so cranky because nobody was trying to help.
Well, but the doctor, was he in med school or was he an actual doctor by then? Michael
intern.
Mancini. He was an intern.
Remember,
okay,
he was
so
working all night.
He's the one who's been he's acting as the landlord for the building, and he's also
The
the
manager.
the
Yeah.
manager. But he's also suggesting that you write a bad check. So.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Michael Mancini was already acting shady. He was suggesting to Alison that she just write a bad check.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then later in the episode, it turns out, that whatever, there was a bad check or whatever, but he's suggesting that's his solution. Oh, if you can't make the rent, just write a bad check.
Do we ever meet the landlord? Apparently, the landlord was awful.
Apparently.
Right?
Well,
no grace
I
period
think
at all.
Michael Mancini was trying to steer Alison wrong anyway.
Well, and also he was a jerk because then he exits and he's like, "Come on, Bubby, come on, honey, let's go back to bed."
He was
come back in here. Let's come back to bed. Like telling Jane what to do. I'm like, ew.
Yeah. It was yeah.
So it's just like foreshadowing.
Yeah, it was very foreshadowing.
Like right out of him.
Exactly. They knew exactly which direction to take the character. So anyway, back to Shooters, where Alison sees Sandy at Shooters and asks where she can find Billy. So that's where you go back to the Shooters and find him playing pool, right?
Yes.
And now you're ready to ask him to be your roommate.
Yeah.
And you guys had that cute little dance. Well, I already have one. No, I don't. And it's just like your chemistry and your meet cute relationship already was like, oh, come on. This is done deal. Two super cute people being super cute with each other.
Yeah, he was adorable. And maybe it's better that I started off so mean because then he's so adorable you can't not respond.
See, you weren't mean.
I think it was me being so mean to such an objectively sweet, adorable person.
Yeah.
I was watching going, why am I so mean?
Yeah, you were uptight. You were definitely uptight. I'm just watching. I'm thinking the same thing, like, what?
But you know what I forgot? When I show him the fridge, which is coming up very quickly, and I have labels on everything. So I was like, oh, so that was the character. Super uptight, super
organized,
rigid, super organized.
Rule follower.
I'd forgotten that about Allison.
You were
no wonder Natalie snuck out.
Yeah, but it's declined. It's so clear in my mind. I forgot that
boots
she started
in that
off.
suitcase, and she's like, I gotta get out of here. This girl's crazy.
I can't live with this much
She can't
structure.
come after me. I'm not paying for this. Because you were pretty uptight.
I must say. So, I mean, basically where we left off is then we see when Michael goes back and he's with Jane in bed. Is this where Jane is kissing his toe? I just have to say. Because when it's a commercial break and it comes back, right? And it opens on Josie actually kissing a toe, and we're ew. Doug and I were so, and
it was so Melrose is pushing,
and we're like, did we just see that? Did she actually have to do that? And she did. We had to go back. We had to rewind it and make sure.
Yeah,
she watch it again.
And she crawled up, and she
was
AF.
so cute and so adorable. And he
kiss
just
the toe to prove it.
Oh my gosh! And then he just continues to be a little bit smug and weird.
Isn't
and
that funny? The gorgeous
Jane, you deserve
Josie
better.
Begging for
Yeah.
it. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, do you have eyes?
Yeah. Jane, you deserve better. All right. So then Rhonda is where we meet Rhonda, and she's peeking through the window to see Billy going into Alison's apartment. So she is learning about.
And remember, we forgot to say that she did say that she saw her sneak out and hadn't stopped her, right?
Oh, yeah. So Rhonda seems to have a little bit of an eye on what else is going on in the building.
She's like, who's the guy, the cute guy? Rhonda says that.
Yep. And she's also shaming Sandy for sleeping until noon.
That's a lot of energy, that Rhonda.
Sort of funny. But back in Alison and Billy's apartment, Alison walks in to find Billy. Guess
shirtless.
What? Guess what? Yeah. Yay.
On the shirtless.
Yay.
Count.
Winner. Alison is the winner. And Billy asks Alison if she's told. And okay, this was a super cute scene because it was all like the entendre. Like, have you told your parents yet? Oh no, but I think they would be supportive. Like super cute dialogue with super cute couple, like flirty but not supposed to be. And then the thing about the food sharing, which is. It was just so charming and adorable.
And labeled, not sharing, you mean. The food not sharing. I don't want your peanut butter. You don't get to touch mine, right?
Yeah, I don't think those, some of the, like sometimes in a pilot, right, you have these very strong character choices and then they fade. Because I don't remember that about Alison going forward, right? I don't remember seeing the labels again.
That she was particular.
But it was a cute idea to have that character choice.
It was a
but
cute
it's how you
dynamic.
came
Cute
into
idea.
It, and then Melrose just effed her up.
Boy,
Boy,
did
big
it.
time.
Boy, did it.
And so then Rhonda is talking with Matt, who's swimming in the pool. So guess what? To be swimming in the pool, you have to be shirtless. And
Did he remember if the pool was really warm? Did you guys talk about it? Because I was trying to remember how warm the pool was as people were swimming in it.
I remember when I eventually got in the pool
in your
episodes
wedding
later,
dress.
it seemed, well, there was that, but
get to that.
it was warm. It was not a problem. Like I never felt like it was a cold
Oh, okay.
situation. But like Doug said that he remembered, and maybe you can corroborate or not, that because they had dug this pool in a soundstage, they had dug out into the floor and built this pool in the soundstage. They'd spent so much money on it. Mr. Spelling was like, we need to use the pool. Make sure people are in the pool in every episode. And so every episode he was like, who's going in the pool this week?
Oh, that's so
right.
funny. Well, they sure piled you all in the pilot.
Right. So I think the people were in the pool like 3 or 4 times in the pilot at least. But it was like, get our money's worth out of that pool. So
this next scene when Billy's dancing with the flower, Courtney.
Oh, that was the cutest.
Did you love doing that scene? Do you remember doing it?
I totally forgot, but watching it, I was like, that is the cutest. And I think that was one of the audition scenes.
Oh, really?
Well, no wonder he won the job.
Adorable.
He was adorable.
Adorable. I know.
So was it, I don't imagine it being hard, you as the character getting lit up by him and opening up to that kind of like, oh, I like him, and just using that chemistry and using your feelings, or did you feel like
we
I'm
were
acting?
dating by episode like 2?
Oh, fantastic.
So this is leading up to you guys actually dating. 'Cause this is
we were
season
actually
1. This is
flirting. Like any flirting you see was actually, we were actually flirting.
Well, it's so
Yeah.
funny because they're writing the character as like not flirting, but it's impossible not to because it's just such cute chemistry and
was
like
there.
everything.
As you know, he's so adorable, like as a person.
And
he's so adorable.
That dancing scene, because he has to do it twice. First, he's dancing when you walk in on him. He's dancing like just kind of on his own and whatever, just like with wild abandon. And like, good for him for such commitment.
Yeah.
And like such like, he was not that experienced as an actor, right? Because he's a soccer player. He's a whatever. And but he was just so natural and so willing to commit to that. And it was so charming. So, and Doug was watching it going, wait, I thought he was dancing with a mop. And then sure enough, later he comes in and he has another scene where he's dancing with a mop. And he's like, yep, I remembered it correctly.
Right.
Yeah, so that was cute. And then, of course, we're back to Kelly showing up at Jake's apartment. And this is where, they're in this like sort of struggle of like, should I or shouldn't I? And it's...
You know what? It's so funny because this is such a cliche way for a guy to act after being with, leading on a younger girl. I mean, not even using their big age difference, but it's just like, oh, I don't remember us. What's the line? I don't remember us planning a future together. I mean, that's so like, for all of the young people now, they got away with that shit back then. And we went home ashamed and like, what did I do wrong? And it's like, I hope that doesn't happen anymore. 'Cause I would be like so indignant now. You know what I mean? Like in this day and age, I don't think they could get away with stuff like that, but I don't know. But
I think
not
the
dating.
girls are smarter now than we were,
think so.
honestly. I think they're
And a
more
little
worthy
more
and they're smarter.
But that was one of the lines. I don't remember us planning a future together. And
She had the line that what's the problem, Jake? Don't you think I'm pretty?
I
was like, ouch for women everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, poor baby. Ouch, 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 ouch.
Yeah.
I know.
And speaking of that scene, though, another one of Grant's lines that he had to deliver was, I hate moral dilemmas. He had to say it out loud.
Yeah,
like,
He came from soap operas, though, so it was
just
easy
in
for
case
him.
the audience doesn't know what I'm going through, I hate moral dilemmas.
Alert,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
That was his moral dilemma.
That's so funny.
Okay, so then they end that scene by kissing passionately by the pool. Did anybody do a kiss count? Do we remember to do a kiss count for this episode?
I did
We'll
not
have to
remember.
try to
There weren't
remember
that many in
future.
this episode. It gets more later.
I think I forgot. I was counting on one of you to remember. Shirtless, I counted. So then Allison was leaving for work when Rhonda comes by, asks her about Billy, and Allison complains about Billy again. You stinker. Complaining that he's messy.
Allison has
Smelly
a
and
lot of
messy
problems.
and-
All right, whatever. But Rhonda goes to her exercise class. And we need to talk about this because another sign of the times. Her cardio funk.
Love.
Did you cringe when they had the close up on her? Like I was like, oh jeez,
Wait, the butt?
the butt.
The butt.
Yeah.
They went
the
like
butt.
They went
Up in the
twice.
butt.
They went up in the butt and then they came back to it. I have to say,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
His
they came
point
back
of
to
view,
it.
and it wasn't short. It did like it lasted. I'm just like, okay, we get
Yeah.
it.
And
And
there's-
the guy
yeah.
looking at the girls in front of him in their leotards.
Doesn't
No,
have
to
to
be
be quite
clear-
so close. Yes.
To be clear, it wasn't Vanessa's butt.
No.
It was some actor
Student.
who was in the scene, which,
Yeah.
by the way, was that scene shot in the production office of the soundstage? They cleared it out. Do you remember this? Doug said
It did look
that
like
it was the production office space of our sound stages, and they dressed it up. Go art department. Like an aerobics
That could clear out
studio.
a lot.
And they must have had to rehearse that choreography and do all those aerobics and cardio funk things. But then that was the shot they chose to do is this,
Yeah.
actress who just appears in one scene and they show her butt
Yeah.
twice, like from a very awkward angle.
Really close up.
And then,
More than we needed to see.
that
Yeah.
was
Whoever
just
had
way
to do
more.
that.
We see,
Yeah.
sign of the times for sure, because that
Yeah.
would not happen.
But can we just
today.
pull away from that and like how fun is it seeing those outfits, those aerobics outfits,
Yes.
the belt, the high leotard,
cute.
the
Raise your hand if you took a
colors?
cardio funk class in the 90s.
I took Jane Fonda's workout on Robertson.
Same.
Did you?
I had the
I went to
tape.
Karen.
Like,
I went to
I had
Karen
the tape.
Voight and Jane
Karen
Fonda's
Voight.
on La Cienega.
Yeah, La Cienega and Santa Monica.
I-
But then also Jane Fonda's on Robertson. Jane
Yep.
Fonda workout.
So Vanessa's
Back
character.
and forth with those arms.
Yeah.
Nope, that was the real
actually
deal
worked.
in the
So
90s. That was
It
actually
did. It,
leg
you
warmers.
I dare you to try to do her video now. It is
Yeah.
there's like 1,000 leg lifts.
So hard.
But if you have the belt, it's probably better. If you belt your
Yes,
leotard.
it's better to
belt.
have the belt. That makes a big difference.
Okay. All right. So that aerobics class is really something, and she ends up having a guy ask her out from taking her aerobics class. So we then circle back to D&D, where Alison is asked by Hal Barber about going to an event with
Sounds
him
like
that night.
very good news. And yet, we'll get back to that.
Well, it sounded like good news to Alison at the time, but the audience is going, Alison,
Wake up.
do you not see?
The audience now, or don't you think the audience back then was like, yeah. I mean, I watched it. You can look at it through
No,
like
'cause the
harassment,
way
or
he
you can
played
look at
it-
it through.
The way Hal played it, the audience knew. He wasn't subtle.
He was not subtle.
He was really playing it.
But I do think the times were different, like because the character's written as like she just needs to go smile and go, oh great, thank you, I'm so excited. Like
Yeah.
the expectation is you're just supposed to be, ignoring all those signs and just like taking like the gift of this invitation.
Yeah.
As
I was
that.
thinking I was so much nicer to him than I was to Sweet Billy. I was watching it. I was like, why am I
He could
so
give you
much
something,
nicer
you
to
Which is
him?
backwards, very backwards. Oh boy.
So then Rhonda stops by Jane's store. Was that the makeup? Was that the wardrobe trailer? Her store looked like the wardrobe trailer to me.
Interesting. It seemed
Oh.
bigger than that because it was 2 rooms, right? Didn't they go? They
No,
kept going from one to
I don't know
another.
where it was.
I thought it
wasn't
looked like
there.
the wardrobe trailer to me.
I don't think so. That's so small, but
Or the room. Remember we had the wardrobe rooms upstairs above the
Maybe.
production office? Maybe that's
maybe
where it
so,
was.
yeah.
That's what it looked like to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, but that was cute, and Josie and Vanessa had like a ton of dialogue, and they're going back and forth
Yeah,
with dresses,
super cute.
and yeah, it was really cute. So then back at the burger joint, Donna can't believe
those
the Kellys.
complainy high schoolers.
Yep. Yep.
all
And I
hanging out
can't believe
complaining.
Jake ignored you and you're still going to pursue it. Blah, 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 blah. But back to Billy and Allison, where Billy's dancing again. So this is the second time where he's
Adorable.
dancing with the mop and he's so cute. And Allison learns that he's an Arthur Murray dance teacher, which is so funny to me. That is not something I recalled at all.
I didn't remember
Did it
it
last?
at all.
Probably didn't last.
I don't remember
Did you
it
see the
lasting,
way he
but
was
it was a
dancing?
cute character thing. And then it's so
that's
funny
the joke.
because this is the line, and this is
He
what
was
I wrote
cute.
down too. Billy, I will live with you. That does not mean I have to dance with you.
Yeah.
Love
And then
that
she
line. That's
turns
Yeah.
hilarious.
But with a little cute little coy, like cute little glisten in your eye. Oh my gosh. And so then there's the shooter scene where all the high schoolers show up to sort of back Kelly up as she's trying to have a date with Jake on his
Right.
motorcycle.
Don't they kind of gang up on him?
Kind of, yeah. But that's where I was struck by Ian Ziering's mullet
Yes.
as maybe the best, worst hair of the episode that stood out to me.
Yeah, great sign of the times. Yes.
And that's where I noticed that maybe Brian Austin Green's voice hadn't even changed yet.
He was super young too.
Yeah, just seemed really young. But yeah, so Sandy learns that Ian has a very famous actress mom, and she's, gaga over that. But back at the apartment building, Jane is planning for a romantic night. She's made a nice dinner, a nice bottle of wine when Michael comes home from work.
Did you notice it was 11:30 at night? I was just thinking that's too late to eat, but I'm a
did you see
5:30
that?
at
Did you
night
see it on
eater.
a clock, or did they say it?
That's what they said. It's 11:30 at night.
Oh,
They
you
did?
were listening.
Yeah. God
I think
bless
they're
her.
just-
Like the wife
Yeah.
who stays up till 11:30 to cook dinner.
After doctor's hours.
Wow.
But when the phone rang,
And she still can't get laid.
no,
What?
And she just couldn't be sweeter, and he couldn't be like,
More gorgeous.
yeah,
It's hilarious.
and he just couldn't be less interested. So when the phone rings in the middle of their dinner, my first impulse is like, well, it's not Sydney because she's not there yet. Because usually that's what it is. It's like, oh, Sydney. or
Sydney's
whatever.
in jail again.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not. It's
not as bad as that.
Yep.
It's
Wait
the
for
landlord.
it. Wait for it because it will be Sydney down the line. But now it's the landlord, and there's been a bounce check, which was Billy's.
That was also like you would never answer the phone at 11:30. That was in the time to think about we answered the phone. When the
Right.
phone rang, you went, "Oh, phone's ringing." I guess
That's
I
all we
answer it.
had.
Like you never thought of not answering your phone.
We
right?
answered the phone. We answered
11:30
the
at
door.
night.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, of course, was Billy's bounced rent check.
Check
Yes.
announcement.
So there's that. What's going to happen if they can't pay their rent?
The next morning, Jane in the pool. I can see your point about Erin Spelling saying, get him in the pool because, she's in the pool. Then
Yep.
you can buy to chat with her and you're.
I think there was more in the pilot. I think over time we started to take a stand.
Yeah.
And also, then you'd have to redo hair and makeup. And nobody wanted the time to
Right.
redo hair and makeup, remember?
Right.
Because there were so many of us. So
Yeah.
I think that lessened. In the pilot, we're like, sure, I'll do it. I'll do it.
longer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Spelling, I'll do it. And then people sort of backed away from it.
Yeah.
But like in this scene, Jake comes up and he's threatening to throw Allison in, and hair and makeup's probably going, no, 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 no. Like, no, no, no. And so in turn, you push Jake in instead, and Jake is the one who has to go in the pool.
Because let me guess, is he shirtless?
As a matter of fact, he was. Yes,
Oh, that's
yes, yes.
shocking.
And
Okay, good.
I've
Good to
lost
know.
count
Good
by
to know.
now. I'll give you a final tally at the end, unless anybody's keeping track along with me. But then back at D&D, at the advertising agency, Hal surprises Al. Oh wait, no. Here's where he gets
wait.
invited to the thing. So there was all
we
these
got
like things leading up to
confused.
the
Yeah.
actual invitation, but now he's finally
were.
inviting her, and she's going. And Rhonda is getting excited about her night out because she has a new dress to wear, and she wants
Yes,
to
and a
ask.
nice, handsome guy.
Yeah.
He was so sweet. We all had such high hopes for that date.
And I love their relationship, like Rhonda and Matt's like friendship.
So
and like
cute.
she goes straight to Matt, like, and he's like totally adorably appreciative of her looking great and wishing her well and
Yeah.
having a great night. And that was such a cute relationship.
Adorable.
And don't do anything I wouldn't do. He's okay, Matt. So then we're finally at the Hal's taking Allison to the client work party.
Business
and
party.
Yeah. And Allison's just adorable in her polka dot dress, being so grateful to be there and so excited about the people she might meet. And
What could possibly go wrong?
what
she's
could
thinking.
possibly go wrong? Yeah. And then, but on the other hand, Rhonda and her date are having dinner on Melrose. Was Cafe
yeah.
Luna, was that an actual restaurant? Was that a name that we
I
changed
remember
for?
Cafe Luna.
Cafe
but-
Luna was a restaurant.
It was an actual restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. We remember when we used like regular locations and like we went to
Yeah,
these places
we'd
on
go to these
Melrose.
places.
Yeah.
Yep.
But their date goes wrong because he's really only interested in proposing in multi-level marketing schemes.
Multi-level marketing. That was so heartbreaking, that moment, right?
Yeah,
Well,
that
she was
weird.
devastated. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
That was
saw her for
catfishing in the 90s. They wouldn't steal your money, but they'd try to sell you multi-level marketing.
I only see you as an opportunity for my multi-level marketing pyramid scheme.
That was sad. Poor
my
baby.
gosh.
Yeah.
So then the other couple sort of struggling is Kelly and Jake, as Kelly one more time is trying to...
This girl does not give
She
up.
does
I have
not
to
give
say,
up.
the third
Yeah.
or fourth time, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
He's just not that into you.
Yeah.
That movie hadn't
years
come
later.
out yet, or
I
the
know.
book. We
If
couldn't
only.
help her then.
Yeah, she had not read it, but he did answer the door while pulling a tank top on. So he's like, "All right, I'm not doing this shirtless.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a tank top on."
Sounds like Grant.
So yeah, but in Alison and Billy's apartment, is he shirtless for this? When Billy
Shirtless
sticks
on
up,
the bed.
yeah,
Yeah.
shirtless on the bed. Okay. When Hal comes in and he's just super smart.
Yeah, super smarm comes after her. And why is he at her apartment? Why did she let him pick? But that was before, right? People picked us up. I don't remember. I never met anybody for a first date. They always picked me up at my apartment.
know.
Right? Such a
True.
different time then.
Did you see how he was walking Allison across the courtyard? He had you by the elbow and he was like steering you like, okay, right this way, young lady. You must come to the principal's
That's a
office
good
right now. Like
character
he was
choice.
just sort of
At the
really
apartment? Going to her
authoritative.
apartment?
Yeah, like walking
Yeah.
across the courtyard up to the apartment door.
Plus, isn't there kind of like this assumed? I know this is hard to say now because we're in 2024, but he's your boss. This is work. This is safe. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, you just assume, he's my senior. Like you just don't. It's so weird. All these things. It's confusing because
So confusing.
I remember thinking that, and oh yeah, well he's my boss. Or
Well, that's why when these stories came out about women being taken advantage of, we're like, how did she not know? It's like, because we had an assumption that this is a person I respect, they're my boss. They wouldn't. It was surprising. You're right. We were more naive then. It was a very different time. So I think when people roll their eyes and say, why didn't she know? We didn't. Like, we thought there was an understanding that there's going to be respect here. So I do understand why Alison was surprised, and how adorable Andrew coming out in his boxers to take a stand, right? And how the actor was so much bigger than Andrew, but Andrew's holding his own.
Yeah.
She's my wife.
Bigger and older. I was noting, like,
Yes.
there's these two really young, adorable kids going, get out now. And Andrew's like, get out, you older man, gross guy. And he's like, okay, kiddo. But he does. And then, like, that was just such a funny little dynamic.
Yeah, it was so sweet that he came out to take a stand. That was adorable.
So that, we can see where this is headed with Allison and Billy, and we're all here for it. And then Michael is waking Jane up in bed with breakfast in bed. And did anybody else notice? He's like, are you up? Are you up?
I know.
It was like,
look what I did for you. Look what I did.
Yeah.
You want a cookie?
It was.
Can I sleep in? Can that be your prize? Like, he wakes her up to say, look what I did for you, honey.
Yeah.
I emptied the dishwasher.
But then
so funny.
Josie was so lovely in that scene where she
Yeah.
says, I'm lonely. And like Josie has,
I know.
as the actress in that scene, like with what she's doing, she had the most authentic, like emotional,
Yeah.
vulnerable
Vulnerable.
moment of like, I'm lonely. And it
Yeah,
was
that
so,
was so sweet.
lovely.
Yeah, we have to, like, you need to pay attention to me. You need to listen
Oh
to
my
what I'm telling
gosh.
you. That was a great
That
moment.
was so lovely. So anyway, poor Jane is just not getting what she needs from this marriage.
And then they embrace. So that's kind of like
Yeah.
a button on, that story's come somewhere. I mean,
I
Yeah.
will
From
say
beginning to
he
end.
did sort of slam her down on the bed and they like kissed hard. Right. Like at the end of that, it wasn't
Finally,
like
after
it
an
wasn't
hour
tender
of
and sweet.
begging, she
It was sort of
finally
like,
might get
whoop.
laid. Yeah.
that kind of embrace. But yes, it was an embrace and she was lovely
and then they all gather for a pool party.
because
We had a
pool-
lot of those in the beginning. There was always a pool party, and I remember like the argument about wearing a bathing suit and you want to wear a bathing suit. So apparently, I compromised on really thick bike shorts, which seemed like a really bad choice. I'm going to get a really thick cotton bike short. Really,
It still
like
looked really cute.
And
what
then
a bad call, though.
No.
Like, just suck it up and wear a bathing suit. It would have been so much less
and you're going to
awful.
complain about his grill. Oh,
Do you feel like you remembered saying, I don't want to be in a bathing suit? Or that was
that's
just
what I was saying. I remember being so insecure and so self-conscious about that gorgeous 24-year-old body, which again breaks my heart how hard I was on myself at that age, how hard I was, because it was adorable. Like we all looked adorable, but those voices, you know, obviously society, my own, whatever it was, that's why I was wearing that ridiculous thing, because I was too shy to wear a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Well, you looked really
you
cute.
had Sandy there,
Yep.
and they're, you know, and her, that archetypal thing, and she's always half naked or whatever.
I know, but I wasted so much time. Like I remember looking back, and I did a lot of fitness stuff then because I wasn't a fitness. And I remember seeing like a cover I did on a fitness magazine, and I remember how I felt about myself. And looking at it, I was like, God, I just couldn't see myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard as a young woman. Like I'm so much kinder about my much older body now. I'm so much more. I would never do that to myself today. And it's just heartbreaking that I wasted so much time being so hard on myself.
And I don't think
all.
that's changed. I
Yeah.
think women now,
Young
like
women.
these
Yeah,
young
it's
women, are
heartbreaking.
picking themselves apart and, you know, comparing and looking at all these little things when we can look at them through our eyes. And so you're beautiful, and
Yeah.
it's just stunning. But you can't see
can't
it on
see it.
yourself when
Yeah,
you're
the
that age, and
messaging
it's
is
just
so
heartbreaking.
I actually think times have changed, frankly, and
I hope so.
I see more body types. You see more body types in commercials and out there, and we didn't have that. We had like
That's true.
stick. They meant it. They meant blonde and skinny and boobs, and that's it. Like that's what was on the covers of magazines and stuff. You know, these supermodels. This was the '90s. That was that. And what I see now, I'm like, wow, you would never see that normal looking young woman or middle-aged woman on a commercial ever. And now you do see it. And I feel like it is a little more open and accepting. I mean,
I hope that's
Thank
true.
goodness. Yeah.
campaigns.
Well, that's
criticize
it. We end the episode and the pilot with everybody playing.
We
What is
all
that? A
end
chicken
up in the
fight? Is that
pool.
called a chicken fight? When you're on
Yeah,
the shoulders?
chicken fight.
Chicken fighting in the pool.
Yeah, because who doesn't chicken
Yeah,
fight? I
with
guess
all
we
of your
were. I guess
neighbors.
we were younger. All right,
And that's the end.
So, anything, any favorite hair, any favorite clothes, anything you noticed? Like I said, I was surprised by how current the clothes looked, how cute it looked. Loved my first outfit. Not crazy about my hair, but there's going to be a lot of bad hair over the course of that series.
I
for
haven't even
me.
appeared. Like, don't even start.
What was the shirt count?
Okay,
Shirtless.
so I counted 13, but I have to say,
Wow.
it was hard to keep track as I was tallying. So, any listeners who count a different number, I am open to like being corrected on that. But I counted 13.
Wow.
All the guys at least.
I forgot
twice.
to mention, like in the scene with me and Andrew, and I had that big fluffy robe. I'm in the big fluffy blue moon and stars robe, which
Which
was a
everybody
big thing
wanted.
at the time.
That
was
and
a
that
big
didn't-
thing at the time. They made
And
it
you wore
till
it for
very
years.
recently. I wore it for years, and he's
you-
naked. Like they never made us be naked.
This little
But
soccer
I
shorts.
bet that robe sold 1 million robes because
it was
of
adorable.
on being on Alison on the show, and it was on for years, like
For
you said.
years,
but that,
yeah.
it was
That was
iconic,
cozy.
just that wardrobe item. But I bet I wanted one.
You
Yeah.
know, speaking of wardrobe, I noticed from the very end, I noticed two things. One, Andrew was wearing a Dartmouth shirt.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Where
yes.
he
I'm
plays
so
yeah.
glad you
soccer.
brought that up. I meant to say that.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I noticed at the very end, Matt was wearing a Rock the Vote t-shirt,
Yep.
which was all the rage, in which I was very good friends with the person who started that.
Nice.
Patrick
Wow.
Lippert. And we were very involved in the beginning of Rock the Vote. So it was really cool, like getting messages out there. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know if he chose it, if it was,
He said that he was very much in the beginning. That was very much his wardrobe. He always had a political statement on his shirt, and there was another one later in the episode. I think the last shirt he was wearing had censorship was the word on his t-shirt. So yeah, he had two different sort of
Yeah.
political statements that he was wearing.
Yeah.
As his character. So many things to talk about, so many things to cover. And I think we hit all the things we wanted to hit, like the favorites and the most memorable line. Did anybody have any?
Well, I liked yours about the moral dilemma. That was crazy.
was
It kind of
hysterical.
just stuck out, you know. What really struck me was the hair, like not just your hair, not even your hair, but Sandy's hair and
There's a lot of hairspray.
A lot of hairspray.
Yeah, it was stiff. It was there was a scrunch spray, hairspray,
scrunch,
mousse.
yeah.
Do you guys remember that every day at about 10:30 they would bring out huge tubs of tuna?
No.
Tuna.
You don't remember that? And they would bring out these huge tubs, and everybody would eat. It was so disgusting. It was like a protein break because we'd been there since 6 a.m. and people would go, "Hi!" Like I was just like, "Oh, geez!" Like 200 people.
They're
with
trying to be
tuna breath.
healthy.
You don't
instead
remember
of
that?
just
I do not
craft
remember that.
service.
God. Whew.
Well,
That was a good idea.
so we get to talk about an episode in another week. We get to come back and talk about the next episode, and
Go
there's
watch
so
it.
much to talk about, and
Yeah.
we'll start to
Our first one is over.
yeah, we'll start to think about having guests.
Yay! Can't wait to see you guys next week.
Yay!
Me too.
So fun.
Very fun.